Look, I love Neural DSP. I own 22 of their plugins. I've used them on countless productions, and I think they've really radically improved just my own ability here in my home studio. I've also recommended them to countless students, friends, strangers waiting at a bus stop. But here's the thing, just because I like the company a lot doesn't mean that they're like above criticism. I'm not a Neural DSP fanboy. And when it comes to the Quad Cortex, unfortunately, it really is a masterclass in overpromise, underdeliver, and basically fix it with a patch in the future. The Quad really could have been the most justifiable microtransaction platform in guitar history, and the company could have made some serious bank if they had executed it well, and they have not. It really could have been this platform where, as the plugins evolve, quickly the hardware unit evolves and we all kind of end up winning. But instead, here we are, 5 years later, and we're still waiting for most of the plugins to come out to the Quad. So today, we're gonna dive into the Quad Cortex, what went wrong, what they did right, in my opinion at least, and what I wish they had done differently. Nearly 5 years later, since the Cortex has launched, what's the scorecard? 6 guitar plugins and 1 bass plugin available to run on it. That's 6 out of 19 plugins available to run on it. And yes, I know it launched with a load of extra amps and cabs and everything you would need to get started, but the point of buying a Neural product is to use the Neural products you already have, right? That was the selling point of the Quad Cortex. You use Plini in order to record and release your record. Now you just grab Plini, you drop it right into your live setup, and you've got the tones that you're using on the record, just plug and play. Like, that was the selling point for me. On the website, they currently say there's 4 more plugins that are PCOM, PCOM on the way, and then the rest of them are just blank. With it taking 3.5 years to get the first plugins up and running on the Quad Cortex, I am not holding my breath anytime about those ones at the bottom that they seem to just forget about, like Fort and Cali. When are we gonna get that one? Now, the plan from the beginning for Neural DSP was to get to the hardware unit. That was kind of the promised land for the company, but being that that took a large amount of capital and resources for a new company that had none of those things, they ended up starting with the plugins with the idea of dominating the plugin market, generating capital for the company with the long-term goal of creating a hardware unit, which ultimately wound up becoming the Quad Cortex. And honestly, in my opinion, phase 1 was a knockout. I mean, these plugins are still some of the best in the industry. I mean, it's literally just plug and play, drop them right into your DAW, or use them in standalone. And for the price of like a stomp box, you're getting an entire package with time-based effects, amps, the whole bit. We're not talking about some like mild delay or just a little startup hiccup. We're talking about a 3.5 year delay until the plugins hit the unit, which in my opinion was the main selling point of the whole damn thing to begin with. It's like peak bro, just Silicon Valley move fast and break things energy, just come to the guitar market. What they really needed to do was just go through the full process to convert a single plugin to have on the Cortex ready to ship at launch so that they could understand how much of a task they really had in front of them to convert this rather sizable plugin library and get it up running on the hardware unit in a reasonable amount of time. With hindsight now, it's very clear to see they should have delayed the announcement of the Quad Cortex and then delayed the launch. 3.5 years ain't a reasonable amount of time. So why in the world has it taken 3.5 years for us to get the plugins onto the Quad Cortex? I'm not a coder, I don't know how to do all that, I know how to do this. But from what I can find online, they basically had to make a whole new operating system so that they could create versions of their plugins that would be rock solid for a live environment. You can have stuttering or jittering or some sort of audio dropouts if you're a band on tour, obviously. So that's really the problem. They couldn't just take the existing versions and drop it on basically what would just be a laptop looking box with switches on it. They had to convert it over so that it would be more reliable for live. Totally a valid reason to have to go through the conversion process, but here's where it becomes a critique and not the excuse. If you know there's going to have to be some sort of a pipeline process as you take your plugins and convert them over to the Quad Cortex, you just don't launch the hardware unit until you know how long that's going to take, right? This process isn't simple. It's not like just transferring a file from one computer to the next. They've got to rebuild the whole plugin to get it to work on the Quad. If they had bothered to do their due diligence before announcing and launching the Quad Cortex, they would have known that the plugins were not coming soon, they were coming years down the road. Now, I'm not just hating on the Quad Cortex from afar, I have a Quad Cortex. I picked up mine in October of 2023, and thank God I wasn't an early adopter, because if I had been, my hair would have been completely on fire at this point. Once mine arrived, obviously now for me, the clock is ticking, right? When are the plugins coming? And genuinely, I like the look, the build, and the philosophy of the Quad Cortex. In all the ways that could be perceived as both good and bad, it feels like an Apple-level music tool. It's really well made, well put together, clearly capable of handling the rigors of the road, but the user interface, honestly, I don't think it's doing anything revolutionary in terms of workflow compared to the competition. The hardware part is pretty, but the UI leaves a lot to be desired personally. The Quad Cortex is the outboard piece of equipment that I use for teaching my lessons, and all in all, I mean, it has been great. I haven't had any issues with the stability or reliability of the software. So as far as waiting those 3.5 years until the plugins finally came, everything is rock solid on the thing, and if I was ever to get back on the road, the fact that this one unit could be the brains for all of the amp tones for rhythm guitar, lead guitar, bass, I mean, it really is pretty incredible. And for my particular workflow, I love that they did include some loops, so if you want to use some pedals or some other outboard gear, that's possible as well. And ultimately, that's why I haven't sold it since I got it in 23, despite being frustrated that the plugins haven't come yet to the unit. It's been really reliable, it's been great for my virtual lessons, and yeah, if I hit the road, I mean, it would be the brains for the whole operation. Will the majority of the plugins finally come to the Quad Cortex? Of course, yes. Eventually, this video will be out of date. My suspicion is that date is way further in the future than I definitely would have thought when I bought my Quad in 2023, that's for sure. I mean, look, is the unit powerful? Yeah, of course. Do I like using it? For the most part, yeah. But is it what was promised? And obviously, I want Neural DSP to be successful here because that's the company that, for better or worse, I've invested my time, energy, learned my way around their plugins. I mean, I've given this company some decent scratch at this point. I just want to be able to use all of my favorite plugins on the hardware unit that came out 5 years ago. So let me know down below, what are your thoughts? Do you guys have a Quad Cortex? Do you have the Cortex Nano? You know, where are you guys with everything? Are you switching over to other companies because you're getting sick and tired of freaking waiting for the plugins to drop on the hardware unit? If you haven't bought one yet, are you waiting until more plugins come out? Like, let me know down below, what's everybody thinking? So if you're into unvarnished, honest opinions about guitar equipment, this is the channel for you. If you dug the vibe and all that good stuff, I would greatly appreciate a like and a subscribe. Helps the little channel continue to grow. If you're into honest, unvarnished opinions about musical equipment, this channel is the place for it. I review guitars, amps, just equipment in general. I also do post lessons and music theory content, as well as my own original progressive metal music. So yeah, if you like the vibe and all that good stuff, consider hitting subscribe, give the channel a like. Man, it really does make a big difference and help my little channel continue to grow. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Woo!